Welcome to this episode of How to Build a Career to Love on Your Purpose. I'm Melissa Jenner, founder of Start Now, and I'm going to be your guide. Hands up if you're sick of hearing, just follow your passion. Figure out your life's purpose and you're going to know what to do. Or even worse, just follow your dreams. Anyone? I mean, I was. It's not very helpful, is it? If you're like me, it just makes you feel anxious. Like the life that you have somehow isn't good enough because you haven't figured out your purpose. I spent a lifetime avoiding that question. My goal was simply to try new things, to learn, and if I liked it, I stayed. If I didn't, I left. There wasn't really a true plan to my career or my life. I was just sort of set out like an intrepid traveller, travelling for the first 20 years of my career on a quest for adventures. And adventures I had. So you might be thinking, well, what's the problem with that? And actually, there is no problem with that. That is a perfectly valid choice, and it's a perfectly valid way to live until you find yourself without a next turn, until you find yourself a little bit older, a little bit more risk averse, and until you've exhausted all the fun options and you're still not sure why they're not bringing you that meaning that you're seeking. You see, all of us at some stage in our careers, we probably need to stop experimenting and we need to start designing. A little bit like a builder who's trying to design his own house. He is definitely going to try a lot of techniques renovating other people's houses. He's probably going to do some training in some new techniques, and he's going to run a lot of different projects, and sometimes he's going to make some mistakes. But at some point, if he wants to take what he's previously done, all that he's learned, and build himself his own house, he wants it to be pretty good, right? He wants to design something that's going to be sustainable, more impactful, and designed uniquely for him. He wants a home with purpose. And that's when it gets a bit harder. And so do you, I guess. You wouldn't be doing this program if you didn't want a more purposeful career than the one you have now. It's not to say what you have is broken. No, not at all. There is no right and wrong in life, only lessons. But what you want is something that has a stronger design, that is more fit for purpose for the next phase in your life. So what you need is a good process for figuring out your purpose. Now, there are two models I particularly like. The first is from the School of Life, and they talk about the 12 pleasures of work. And if you think about pleasures, they're the things that bring you joy in life. And we all have different things in our life and in our world that bring us pleasure and bring us joy. And one way you can figure out what those things are is to do a diary mapping exercise where you unpack your diary for the week and think about all the things that you've been doing and what has been bringing you joy. These are forms of pleasure that really, kind of bring out energy and oxytocin in us. So what are those things that bring you pleasure? So the 12 pleasures that they've determined are common for people in relation to work are things like making money, beauty, creativity, understanding, helping others, leading, gaining independence, etc., etc. And with these 12 pleasures, when you've done your mapping exercise, you can start to put them into a hierarchy for yourself. And this can give you a sense of what is the purpose that you're looking for in your work. But I prefer this one, which is a build on the Design Your Life from Stanford toolbox. And in this, we collapse purpose down into a simple three-way model, a combination, if you like, of three things that everyone is looking for in their work. The first is impact. Everybody's looking for impact in their work. The second is a sense of reward, and the third is learning. And there's obviously lots of correlations between the two, because a lot of the pleasures that the School of Life talks about can actually map in to this model, which we're going to use to help you define a purpose statement for you and your work. And it starts with defining what purpose means to you personally and how this might be changing from where you were last year or even 5 years ago. Once you have this personal purpose statement, or what I call this sort of North Star, this is a light that you can follow. You're going to find making decisions about the tactical stuff, like which job should I apply for next. It's going to become a lot easier. And I'm going to show you how to design that purpose statement for you right now. This activity you're about to do is called purpose mapping. Now, we know that purpose is probably the most overused word in the English language right now. And we're all told you need to know what your purpose is. But what does it actually mean? I mean, how do you decide and define that? This is really important, and I've tried to make this easier for you by breaking down what I think working on purpose is actually all about. This exercise is based on similar principles to those from the Stanford's Design Your Life program that I'm a coach in. And collectively, we've determined that everyone wants to do two things. They want to either gain something, get some payback from their work, or they want to give something. They want to make a contribution. And it's across 3 dimensions. Let's look at these 3 things. Number 1 is reward. Everyone wants to get some kind of reward from working. That's just a given, right? But reward looks different for everyone at different times in their life. For some people, it's just about being paid as much as possible. For some people, it's about the opportunity to gain, say, equity in the company or shares. For some people, it's about opportunities for learning or maybe recognition through getting a public profile. If you're working to your fullest purpose, what does reward look like for you right now? What do you hope to get back from all the efforts that you've contributed? And then there's learning. Everyone in life has creative talents. We've had them since we were young children, and we all love learning new creative talents, whether it's learning to be a good writer or as unique as being able to analyse complex data and see scientific patterns, or just play the guitar. These creative talents are what brings us joy, and being able to share these with the world is one of life's greatest pleasures. What matters most, though, for you right now is to decide whether these new learning talents are actually passions or are going to be part of your profession. So, for example, just because I might be learning how to be a great singer, I love my karaoke, does that have to be part of my work? Maybe or maybe not. What you learn in the work that you do can also bring you immense purpose. So choosing whether you want to learn things for passion or for your profession is really important, but you've got to keep learning. It'll keep you alive and it'll give your work meaning. And lastly, impact. Almost everyone we meet has heightened consciousness or ethics, and they want to have some impact through the work that they do, whether it's just for them and their family, their community, their country, or even the world. We're all striving to see some kind of outcome beyond just getting paid to fuel our lifestyle from working. But what impact are you trying to have? And how do you define impact? Is it about creating change in the way people are living their lives? Is it about making the oceans cleaner? Or maybe it's about bringing new technology in the world to make life easier. Knowing what that impact is and knowing what you want to do in the world is a key guideline for making some good choices about the work that you do next. In determining these 3 things, you are going to know your why for working, and then it will be easier to decide what you need from the types of jobs that you do. Purposeful definition will also help you with how are you going to change your life to achieve that, to fit with your broader vision. So let's get this purpose statement started for you. Now you're going to be using your purpose activity sheet. So I want you to print it out on as large a piece of paper as you can, like this, because we are going to start defining your purpose. Firstly, I want you to decide on the definition for each of these components. And you can be as detailed as you like. Write a statement about what you are seeing as your purpose using language that has meaning for you. Here are my examples. For reward, it's about maintaining my current lifestyle and having about 10% to save. For impact, changing people's working lives for the better. And for learning, teaching and designing and coaching others how. Now I want you to determine how important each of these are. You're going to be asked to assign a percentage value out of 100 to each of those 3 components. So for example, now that you have defined impact, how important is that to you, that your work delivers this? Is it 70%? Is it 10%? What about compared to reward? Is it the same or more or less? This is an important exercise in prioritisation. Yes, if you're lucky, you might get it all. And so if you assign equal values to each, that's what you're hoping for. But the roles and the pathways that enable you to achieve all three might be limited. If you're forced to choose, what would you trade off or prioritise? What out of these is most important to you right now, given your current circumstances? Here's how I divide mine up at the moment. So here's where I'm at now, but I want you to recognise it didn't always look like this for me. 10 years ago, reward would probably have been as big as impact is now. This is because I've established myself financially so I can afford to switch my emphasis. Lastly, what I want you to think about is what's at the heart, what's at the essence for you, your bullseye, your North Star. We've purposefully left a space here for you in the middle of the tool for you to do a synthesis exercise. This is not easy, but intuitively in your heart or your head, all that you've just created from your vision statement and your purpose map should land you on a single word. And that word sits at the heart of why you're working. It could be creativity or diversity. If it hasn't come to you immediately, try a bit of a synthesization method. Circle all the words across your purpose map that are similar. What have they got in common? What do they stand for? What belief or value sits behind those statements that you have written? Don't worry if this doesn't come to you immediately. Just let it rest for a while. It will. So for me, the essence of what I love doing, for me, the word is about change. That is my superpower and the purpose that I love pursuing in life and in work. If you can find your word, you will have an overall sense of the direction that you're going in always. This purpose statement is going to really help you, along with your needs statements that we're going to do soon, to act as a filter for the next job or opportunity. Does that role or opportunity that you're considering align with your purpose statement? What might I be trading off? And is that worth considering right now? And you should reflect on this and redraw it every 5 or 10 years. Your purpose will change, just like in an organisation it does. As your life and your experiences are going to affect you, so too will your definition of what work with purpose means to you.